In this video, I'll show you how to use the new AeroPod 2.0 app for CDA testing in Profile 4. I'll start the app by clicking on the Start button on my Garmin. You'll notice that when the AeroPod is off, you'll see dashes for the CDA fields in the top, and the number 0 at the bottom means that the app is not paired to my AeroPod. I'll now turn on the AeroPod. Now that the AeroPod is on, you'll see numbers appear in the fields at the top, and the number in the bottom left corner is the sensor ID of my AeroPod. This is the lap button on my Garmin. I'm going to touch it every time I cross the starting point of my ride. Right now I'm going to leave and ride to my starting point. My aero testing route is a loop in our neighborhood. I'm going to click the lap button because I'm at the starting point of my testing. When I do this, you'll see that I was a short distance, only about 1/10 of a mile to my starting point, and you'll see numbers appear, which are the stats for the first lap. Now, these numbers really don't mean anything. What I'm going to do now is start my ride and record with the lap button every time I cross the same starting point. Okay, I've just completed the first lap, which is about 1.1 miles in our neighborhood. I've come to the starting point. Normally I just keep riding, but I've stopped so I can make this video. I'm going to click the lap button and AeroPod will record the CDA data, and you'll see a number pop up soon on the screen. It will be lap 2, and there's my number. What I'm going to do now is continue to do laps, but I'm not going to stop between laps to make this video. I'm just going to do another 4 or 5 laps, and you'll see the numbers stabilize. Okay, I just completed more laps. This time I did not stop at the end, and I did another 5 laps or so. You'll see that the data for each lap is shown, and you'll see that the app scrolls between different laps. So this I just finished as lap 7. What I'm going to do now is click the stop button because I'm done testing that sequence. I will save that ride. And what this basically does is it makes it possible to do different rounds of testing. So for example, maybe I want to change my helmet or clothing or something and do another set of tests. When I do that, I will make my changes in clothing and then click the start button. Now, you'll see the data from your accumulated rides so far, but now what I'm going to do is start a new sequence, and over on the left is the sequence number. Everything I did was for sequence number 1. This is going to be sequence number 2. Okay, I've ended sequence number 1 by touching the stop button, and I restarted by touching the start button. So I'm in sequence 2 now. I just completed a lap of sequence 2. I'm going to touch the lap button to record the data from sequence number 2. And in a moment it will appear, and you'll see that the S over on the left is now listed as sequence number 2. If I were doing testing in this lap, I would do 4 to 5 laps and get the information for sequence number 2. And again, you'll see that the screen scrolls between all of the laps that have been recorded. There's my sequence number 2, lap number 1. I'm going to end this by clicking the stop button. I will save that ride, and I'm finished testing. So that's a basic explanation of how the app works. One other thing to note is that many of us will probably turn off our Garmins when we're done with our testing. The data from your CDA tests have been preserved. You can retrieve it simply by turning the Garmin back on, and once the app is back up and running, simply click the start button for your ride, and all of your data will appear. So you can retrieve the data when you get home to your computer or whatever. This data will remain on your Garmin all day and will erase at midnight for whatever time setting you have on your Garmin.